Iran on Saturday strongly condemned the United States' impending announcement of new economic sanctions. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai described the measures as an unlawful assertion of extraterritorial sovereignty over independent UN member states. Baghai asserted that such secondary sanctions lack any foundation in international law and would further strain Iran's economy while affecting its key trading partners, including China. Iran's Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Mohsen Rezaei, warned that countries joining Washington's economic war would be treated as enemies and face consequences, further threatening to target interests of any country imposing sanctions.
If he decides to take further action, our retaliation will be seismic. First, we will tell all neighboring countries and countries around the world not to join the United States in its economic war. Any country that takes part in imposing economic restrictions on us will be regarded as an enemy. Of course, we will first negotiate with them. We will hold talks and tell them to step aside and distance themselves from the United States. But if they do not act, we will strike. We will target that country's interests.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is scheduled to detail the toughest sanctions in history on Monday, urging Chinese cooperation as Beijing accounts for over 80% of Iran's oil exports. Nearly 6 months after U.S. and Israeli airstrikes began on 28th of February, hostilities have paused, but peace talks remain absent. Oil traffic through the Strait of Hormuz is near standstill, though Iran has granted passage to certain Iraqi tankers. Iranian officials highlighted enhanced missile production, while Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian called for a dignified diplomatic end to the conflict. The UAE has suspended trade with Tehran. All right, and my colleague Akhilesh Suman is joining me live from the newsroom on this. Hi Akhilesh, a very good afternoon to you. Akhilesh, first things first, I want to ask you what Iran has just said. Iran has said that any country who will be joining the economic war, this campaign with the Washington, will be treated as an enemy. And this came after United States urged allies and China, of course, to join the bandwagon in their campaign of economic war against Iran, which is one of the biggest economic warfare which US claims has ever been done on Tehran. So what is the entire situation now? How do you assess the entire situation here, Akhilesh? Because peace talks are nowhere seen.
You know, that Iranian what assertion is quite weird somehow or other, because you cannot tell any country and every country that you cannot cooperate with USA. You cannot be in the side of USA. And as a matter of fact, most of the countries have taken a very neutral stance. Neither they have been with Iran nor they have been with USA. But every country has some sympathy with Iran, given the fact that Iran did not positively react on the sympathy of the world. A Strait of Hormuz was kept closed, and it is still almost closed for all practical regions. And in that situation, if Mohsen Rezaei is threatening all countries of the world that he will declare the countries who are cooperating with USA as enemy country, it is somehow not expected from Iran, because when American sanctions are imposed on Iran, it will be the companies. If some companies are having trade with Iran, then those companies will be sanctioned. And in that situation, those companies cannot have a trade because they are afraid of sanctions, because they have to do some trade with USA. We have seen in the past that sanctioned companies get out of the cooperation with Iran in the past. So in that situation, I think that Iran might lose sympathy of the world in this situation, even though there are other assertions also, and other assertions that Iran will attack the economic interest of USA in the region. It is okay, because Iran has been attacking the military bases in the region, and everyone was watching. If they attack American economic interest, everyone will watch. But if Iran goes to other country, and if Iran declares other country as enemy country, I think that will create problems for Iran also in the long run.
Definitely, Akhilesh. You're right in this that they might lose sympathy. But the very fact that I want to ask you is this, that how do you see this entire situation from Iran's perspective now? Because they're already reeling under sanctions, number one, and they have deteriorated their relations with some of the countries in the Gulf. And the latest being the UAE, who has suspended all the trade with Iran till further notice. A country who is already under sanctions from the United States, and there are new announcements by United States to impose new sanctions, and its relationship with the countries in the Gulf situation certainly is not right for Iran. Of course, in the Strait of Hormuz as well, because the entire global supply chain is disrupted, the fuel prices are rising, and we understand that with the rising fuel prices, the inflation also rises in the entire world. So that becomes a bone of contention as of now. Now the nuclear program of Iran is nowhere seen, because I think we've seen J.D. Vance as well a few days back telling the Americans that you please brace for the rising oil and gas prices now. So it seems like that Iran's nuclear program is secondary now, and Strait of Hormuz is the new bone of contention. So how do you analyze this entire situation, Akhilesh?
American bottom line is about denuclearization of Iran, and to put a hold on that, Iran came with closing the Strait of Hormuz. So in that way, you cannot tell that now Strait of Hormuz is a main thing, and the denuclearization program of America has gone in the back burner. No, that's not the truth. Actually, if they negotiate, they will have to negotiate on every issue. Like Iran is telling that the attack by Israelis inside Lebanon should also be stopped for all practical purposes. So these are different factors of the same negotiation and agreement that has to go. And that there was an agreement, and it has been kept in abeyance. This agreement is not in force now. So given the fact that regional countries are also responding, like UAE has stopped all trade with Iran. We have seen that Mecca agreement, Mecca alliance has also been formed, and that Mecca alliance is not against any other country but Iran. They are trying to give a symbolic hint to Iran that we have to create an alliance if Iran attacks more on the countries of the neighborhood. So every country is trying to calibrate and trying to create a situation when they will feel secure. So Iran is being isolated by US, and Iran is also falling in the trap of that isolation, and Iran is again increasing its own isolation. Because that you may have some more arsenals, you may have some more ammunitions, but if the economy is going down by every passing day, people in Iran are facing the problems of even fuel, then food. So then it will be a problem for Iranian people. So I think that these things are on the radar of President Pezeshkian, and that is why President Pezeshkian is telling that diplomatic solutions should be found out, and he is giving the signal to his own administration, different factions in the Iranian administration, that either we should decide on the perpetual war or for the peace, because this type of confusion cannot go well for the people of Iranians. So let us see that how things go, because people also say that IRGC is not in control of any civilian government there. IRGC is taking the decisions on itself. We have seen that some attacks have been made in the Strait of Hormuz over some ships passing by, and even Iran has not taken the responsibility of it. So these are the situations that Iran has to decide that what way it has to sustain its own economy and its diplomatic pressure in the whole region.
Definitely. Akhilesh, I beg your pardon, very quickly, are the back channel talks happening? Any sources you have?
That back channels are always happening, because that Army Chief of Pakistan has gone to Tehran. So naturally he will go and
so there are reports that the back channel talks are happening.
Yeah, there are reports, and back channel is always alive. Only thing that who takes the first stand.
That we have to wait and see. Thank you so much, Akhilesh. We leave it there.